to the Human Perspective. We're continuing to focus on back to school. Today I have the great pleasure of introducing you to Kevin Webb, who is the Senior Director of the Mitsubishi Electric American Foundation. The Foundation's sole mission is to help young people with disabilities maximize their potential and participation in society by empowering them to lead productive lives. To further this mission, Kevin manages national grant-making and corporate employee volunteer programs. Previously, Kevin worked for a decade coordinating the State Department's International Visitors Leadership Programs in Columbus, Ohio, and he led civil society missions abroad. He lives in Virginia with his wife and children. Welcome, Kevin. It's been a real privilege for me to get to know Kevin over the years. He's really made a very important mark in the work that's going on in this field. So I thought he would be a great addition to concluding this month. Kevin, so you joined the foundation in like 2005?
2005, yeah.
What drew you to the foundation?
Well, it's really just a personal connection to disability. My aunt has an intellectual disability, and our mission at the foundation is to help empower people with disabilities, young people with disabilities. I also have a interest in helping youth learn leadership development, learn leadership skills, and be empowered for the future. So that also intrigued me. And also with my international work, working with nonprofit organizations, really was always interested in the aspect of volunteerism. So the idea of working with our corporate volunteers at Mitsubishi Electric was also always of interest to me. So kind of those three things all merged together to make me have an interest in applying for the position.
You've been there for 12 years now.
12 years, yeah, hard to believe.
That's right. So I understand that there are three basic objectives for the foundation: building nonprofit capacity, promoting inclusion of young people with disabilities into society, and replicating innovative models. Could you explain a little more and tell us some things about success stories?
Absolutely. So our foundation makes grants to nonprofit organizations, and we try to identify organizations that have innovative models that are empowering youth. Specifically, in the past 10 years, really been focused on employment and helping youth successfully transition to employment. So as we look at capacity building, we try to find organizations that are really developing innovative models. And so like AAPD, American Association of People with Disabilities, actually going back almost 20 years ago, we helped suggest and actually fund the AAPD Congressional Internship Program. It started with 2 interns working on Capitol Hill, and we invested in that program over the years. They got other organizations like Microsoft and Walmart and other Anthem and other companies to donate and support the program over the years, and it has grown to really become kind of the preeminent internship program for college students with disabilities. And that's what we like to do, is find those kind of great ideas to invest in and support programs to help build their capacity. And replication, our idea of supporting replication, probably the best example of that is the Project Search program. Project Search places interns with intellectual disabilities in internships in companies during their last year of high school. Mm-hmm. And it started in Cincinnati Children's Hospital in Cincinnati, Ohio, not Columbus. And we provided some funding to them to develop a replication toolkit, a replication plan to share the model with others. And it's actually expanded to 500 sites nationwide now. So we invested in that back in 2003. And really, the whole idea of inclusion. We really try to find programs that are developing how to include young people with disabilities really in kind of the mainstream society. How do you make sure that all programs are open to people with disabilities? And so going back to the AAPD internship program, they helped through the Greater Washington Internship Coalition. They helped to educate other internship programs in the Washington, D.C. area about how do you really fully include people with disabilities in their programs. So one example is the Washington Center here in DC that has about 4,000 interns
From all across the
from
country.
all across the country, and they've learned how to recruit and fully welcome people with disabilities in their programs. And it has to do with that Internship Coalition working with internship programs for disabled youth.
And so disabled youth can apply for these programs, which they should maybe come onto your website to learn on a regular basis about programs that you're supporting. Is that one way they can learn about groups to look at?
Absolutely. I encourage you to go to www.meaf.org. That's www.meaf.org. And you can look at kind of success stories, how we're trying to scale up and replicate those models of innovation to help empower young people with disabilities. Yeah.
We've seen many changes in legislation over the last 10 years, both in the areas of education and employment. And I'm just wondering, how have these changes influenced the expectations of youth with disabilities? Because when I was growing up, we didn't have any of these opportunities. I did get internships because I saw them to be really important, but there were no organized programs to really help disabled youth get mentors and internships.
Yeah, I think expectation since the passage of the ADA, the American Disabilities Act, and IDEA. I was actually just at the U.S. Business Leadership Network conference last week, and they had a Rising Leader program. And some of the rising leaders were saying, they have an expectation, having been included in school, having been included in sports. There's still a lot of work to do, but the inclusion is much better than it used to be. And they really have an expectation that they're going to enter the workforce. So they are looking for those jobs, and again, expect that they will be employed. So I think that's one thing that it has changed, kind of that rationale. It's like, oh, am I going to be able to be employed? To I will be.
And I think people's expectations are for jobs that are more similar to the jobs that non-disabled people have looked for. So jobs in the area of STEM and computer technology.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this the Rising Leader program at USBLN last week, they were really recruiting STEM majors, so looking at jobs in engineering and technology and so forth. And they had 110 rising leaders of the program last week. Many of them were offered jobs on the spot, and jobs making more money than I'll ever make. So,
When you look back over the work that you've done at the foundation, give us an example of something you feel most proud of.
Yeah, I think it's really trying to work toward that change in attitude. That's what we try to do by promoting inclusion, putting interns on Capitol Hill. Kind of the non-disabled attitudinal change. So, like having a young person in a congressman's office, and they retrofit their office to make sure that people with disabilities can get in because they realize their constituents can't get in. They can see that the people are capable, so that influences the way they write legislation. And I think that's what we're most proud of, is trying to work on that attitudinal change, get rid of the myths, and really focus on the capabilities of young people with disabilities and the fact that they can succeed.
And learn about the substance of the issues that needs to be dealt with.
Absolutely.
So, what is your message to disabled students?
Set your goals high. Set yourself high expectations. Parents, make sure you set high expectations for your young people, because in today's world, there really are opportunities to be fully empowered and fully succeed, have the job you want, and go after it.
Thank you so much. Our 10 minutes are up again, and as we wrap up back to school, I want to really reinforce what Kevin has said. It's important for you to seek out mentors and internships. One of the programs that Kevin was speaking about had 900 applicants this year. 15 people got internships. So that should encourage you to apply, but it should also encourage you to look in your communities, at your universities, for opportunities. We've all been watching the devastation that Hurricane Harvey is creating and will continue to create. Hundreds of thousands of people, disabled and non-disabled, are being severely impacted. It's my expectation that the lessons we learned from Hurricane Katrina have taught us how to better include disabled people and their families in emergency preparedness and the recovery process. However, we know we have much more to do. As a part of National Preparedness Month in September, we will be interviewing Marcy Roth, who is the CEO of the Partnership for Inclusive Disaster Strategies, Wednesday, September 6th. Marcy is an expert in this field domestically and internationally. I encourage you to please share your stories with us if you're living in the devastated area, and to please contribute what you can to support the efforts that lay ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to talking to you again.